All right, grasshoppers, we are back with a very special new friend of ours. We have Jillian has we have a co-friend, mutual friend, I should say, and it's Ryan Phillips. And he's he's a very motivational guy. He's asked everybody that he knows to send in videos of motivational things. And I did one, Jillian did one, and I started following him more. I saw Jillian and I saw her story, and it's like, oh man, she's got to be on the show with me. So Jillian Brown, how are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Yes,
How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. So she is coming to us from Squamish.
Currently, I'm on a place called Race Rocks Marine Ecological Reserve, which is a little rock in the Pacific Ocean off of Vancouver Island. And I'm alone out here for a month.
She's out there by herself. People stop in every once in a while, bring food and all that kind of stuff. But she's by herself.
Yeah.
The other day, I'm an old farm boy, with the electric fence and everything. We were talking on the phone. She had to go and fix the electric fence. And I said, don't meet too many people around here that are fixing an electric fence. I live in Greenwich, Connecticut, where they don't know what an electric fence is.
Yeah. It's basically a like marine ranch. There's 1,000 cool sea lions that are on a 240 hectare rock with me. And they like to destroy the electric fences and go and rub up along buildings and make a mess of everything. So it's like every hour you're going out and doing a walk around and mending all the fences and shooing the sea lions and watching whales every once in a while. I'll look longingly into the distance while we're talking, and it'll be because I'm staring at a whale or an orca or something.
That's true. That's cool. That's very cool, actually, thinking of doing that. And we talked, like I was on that TV show Survivor. Now, this is really surviving for you. There's no, for us, we weren't in any danger or anything like that. But being out in the wilderness like that was a lot of fun, too. Okay, so we're going to start for your life. You grew up in northwestern Ontario, Lake of the Woods, right? That area?
Yeah, Lake of the Woods, and then Winnipeg, Manitoba. So kind of half the year I'd be in Winnipeg going to school, and then the rest of the time I was out on a little island on Lake of the Woods near Kenora, where I got to grow up with my great-grandparents, grandparents, cousins would come out and visit.
Right.
Yeah.
To the outdoor girls. And so you, okay, let's get right at it then. So why Jillian is such a fantastic story. There's a bad part, which very often happens where somebody goes through a tough time and they not only fix themselves, but now dedicate themselves to fixing other people or helping other people. So Jillian was in a abusive relationship, both physically and emotionally. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, kind of every way possible over 5.5 years.
Right. And we'll go back and talk about it more. But so you got to the point there where you obviously put up with it for a while. You couldn't take it anymore, and you left. And you were telling me the other day you left, and you had $300 in your pocket that you had hidden away, and you bought a tent off the woman on the side of the road, and you lived in that tent for 7 months, right?
Yeah. To leave, I basically had to leave everything. Him and I had a dog sled company together. So we had our business, dream home out in the wilderness, log cabin. And we rescued 16 sled dogs from all over Canada, and who were all kind of staring down gun barrels, essentially. And as much as I say we saved them, they definitely saved my life in that time. Them being there got me through a lot, but I had to leave them all behind. And I'd been hiding $300 in my camera bag for quite a while. And eventually, thanks to a stranger basically seeing me and acknowledging my existence and being completely unjudging of me and not knowing him, I was able to leave. And found a woman by the side of the road that was selling a tent for $60 and picked it up and set it up in the forest back in Squamish. That was in Golden where we were at the time. And I lived in a tent in the woods for 7 months.
So when you think back about that time, I mean, like to me, there's a lot of courage involved, right? I mean, is that the word that you think, you had to build up the courage to finally leave? Is that how it got?
Yeah. The funny thing is that while I was there in that relationship, every day I would go down to my dogs, and when I would feed them and water them, I'd give them all a snuggle and rub my face in their fluffy necks. And I would say that I was thankful it was me there and not somebody else, because somehow I knew I had the strength to get through it, whatever that meant, whether it meant just sticking by and figuring it out or finally kind of escaping to safety. Yeah. So I don't know whether there was courage being there or courage leaving.
Yeah.
I don't look at myself as really courageous
Well,
at
that's what I
all.
was going to. That's what I was going to ask you, though. I mean, did you view yourself as a courageous person prior to all that?
No, not really. I knew I was a strong person. I knew that I was like, I'm stubborn, and I know I have a lot of strength to get through and um, to hold other people's weight. Like it was such a burden. I mean, it was, as much as I always viewed it as both of us. Like I had to be doing something in my mind that was causing him to be that way towards me. Um, I always bared that weight of whatever was going on for him too. So it was never you need help. It was we need to go and get help and figure out what's going on.
That's
Um,
how he spoke to you, that you needed to go get the help.
no, I always viewed it like in that relationship, no matter what went on, no matter what he did, it was never you need to go get anger management. You need to go do this. You need like it was never. I never looked at it that way because there was two of us there, and I figured in my mind it was I was must have been doing something that was causing this. So it was always we should go and see somebody. Unfortunately, that wasn't a reciprocal kind of thing.
Right.
Unfortunately, so yeah, but I don't know. I never really viewed myself as courageous or anything. I just view myself as yeah, just pushing through, I guess.
Right. Well, I view you as courageous. I mean, obviously, not only for what you did to leave, but for what you're doing for other people now, right? I mean, you kind of, I saw one of your videos where you said you now realize what your calling is, right?
Yeah, for sure. A year after going through that and leaving, um, I decided to pack up my things. I was now in a house, and decided to hit the road and kind of reconnect to myself, my passions, nature, photography, and my family, and do this big road trip across Canada. And I even left my dog back in Squamish with a friend because I needed it to be fully for me. At that point, I felt like I was healing and pretty healed from going in the tent, being told I have PTSD, to trying to figure out tools to manage that, and still not fully connecting back to everything that I was passionate about quite yet because I was still dealing with so much. And when I went on that road trip, I wrote an article, which was originally supposed to be kind of my first ever attempt at a sponsorship letter, but it was really just kind of sharing my journey of what I had been through, and now being on the road and why. And I sent it to the Canadian Women's Foundation, and they ended up publishing it. And a year after that, I was back in Squamish, and I was booked for a photo shoot. And lovely woman, older, have great chit chat, and we wrap up doing headshots. She goes to pay me, give me a check, and she turns to me and looks and says, "I've been meaning to tell you something. I read your article in the Canadian Women's Foundation, and at that time I was in an abusive relationship out in Ontario, and I saw this young woman who had all this courage and strength that I couldn't find, and it gave me that courage to leave, pack my things and leave. And I moved out to British Columbia, and I booked this photo shoot to tell you that." And like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life. And if this is the only person I ever know that I somehow helped, that's good enough for me. And so from there, I've just always, I'm open and honest and share wholeheartedly my journey through all of it, being in that relationship to PTSD, homeless, and then all of these crazy adventures, and tying it all together however I can to help inspire.
That was the video you did with Ryan. You told that story on the video with Ryan, and that's what I saw. And I was like, wow, that was quite a story. That's really impacting other people so much, right? Isn't it amazing? I've been so lucky too, to play hockey and the things I've done, and now do the motivational speaking. Like I went to an event one time, and this gentleman, an older gentleman, came up and started hugging me at this event. It was a bowling alley in downtown New York, and all the Ranger fans are there, and he started hugging me. He says, "Tom, you saved my life." He said, I had to lose 70 pounds and I couldn't do it. I started following you, and you gave me the inspiration to lose 70 pounds. And when that happened, it's like, wow, the feeling you get, and just like you, I'm sure with this woman, you're glad you helped her, but it also made you, I'm assuming, made you feel like, just like you said, wow, I feel great. It affected somebody's life like that. So
I don't think she knows how much she's impacted my life, but because of her sharing that and having her own courage and strength to leave that, and talking to me about it, it's changed other people's lives because I've used that as my fuel. That's why that story is the one that I always share. I have plenty of others, like being a part of the camp, going on crazy expeditions and meeting people and helping people and doing all these other things. There's plenty of other stories, but that one is the one that created all the other stories.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. So the one story I get a kick out of too, and you got some videos online of you paddling across America in your canoe. Where did that all get started? Why? What happened? When was the journey? How was that?
Yeah. So first in 2016, my friend Jamie Sharp came to me with this harebrained idea of taking a tandem sea kayak down the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon. And nobody had ever done it before. And there's a reason for that. And I was like, hey, if Jamie Sharp trusts me, he's the best paddler I know, I guess I should say yes to this.
Right.
And we ended up being successful and kind of got in the limelight a little bit through that, of just kind of saying yes to something that was kind of crazy in this world first achievement. So a couple years later, I was contacted by this gentleman, Martin Trahan, who's a paddler, and a bunch of the sponsors saying they had three team members drop out of this big expedition across America. They need somebody who's capable of both paddling and documenting and sharing stories and all of it. And they wanted to know if I would be available and be willing to take part in this 210-day journey, paddling across the United States. Oh, and you only have a month to get ready. And of course, it was like, yes, perfect. I happened to be in Winnipeg at the time visiting my parents, and I hung up the phone and turned around and was like, so how do you feel about having Roxy Dog for like 7 months? And they were like, what's going on now, Jill? What are you doing?
Yeah. That's cool.
Like, oh, just paddling across the United States. No big deal. That was really the biggest issue that I had to sort out. I knew I could figure out making money or getting food or whatever it may be. It was really just sorting out my dog.
There you go. I like it.
So that's how I ended up on the trip. And 100 days into it, I ended up solo. So I was paddling with one person in a canoe, and then I ended up alone in a kayak. For the
Would you throw them overboard? Did you throw them overboard, or what happened?
No. The way I put it is that I was viewed as I was just supposed to be there to take photos of him, and which is fine. That was that was my job. I was fine with that. But people were starting to ask about me. And there essentially was no more room in the canoe for his ego and another person. It's kind of my nice way of putting it. It's unfortunate that ego ruins so much. It's really sad. And I kind of found out afterwards that that's a big reason why the other three had turned down going. But I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, I'm so happy that I went. The people that I met along the way were absolutely incredible.
Isn't that true about life? Like, get in the habit more of saying yes to everything, and even knowing that you may fail. Like, you would have failed, or maybe you just say, "I'm going to find a way to get it done." Like I tell people all the time, I'll say yes to anything, and then I'll fail at it, and they say, "Well, Tom, you told us you could do it." I said, "Well, yeah, I'm going to do it. I just haven't done it yet." It's just
that's my saying is, there's nothing placed in front of us that we don't have the strength to overcome. It's just believing in oneself enough. That doesn't mean that you're going to achieve it the first time, but if you believe that you're going to achieve it, you're going to train harder, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get more knowledge, and then you're going to go back to it and you're going to accomplish it eventually.
Yeah. Right? And you're going to realize, and you almost prepare yourself for failure, knowing, okay, yes, I know that at some point I'm going to fail. I'm going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean I quit. It means it's just I made a mistake. I didn't do something right. I'll correct it and I'll get back at it again and get it done. And I think you can really train yourself to do that too, right? By doing it more and more. Like, you now have trained yourself. If somebody gives you a challenge, you say, yes, I can do it, right?
Yeah. I got some smarts about it though. I'm starting to learn to maybe not go into a trip for 100 or what was supposed to be 210 days with somebody that I've never even spoken on the phone with before. Yeah. I mean,
we live and learn.
But the only thing that we can ever control is ourselves, right? So maybe I still would have. Right?
Yeah. I was going to say, there's some things I've done. I think back about some things I've done, and I probably, I'd still do them again. Like, I learned so much from them. I think it's fantastic. And then you realize, as soon as you realize too, this, you don't want to put yourself in danger and get hurt or anything like that. But but failing isn't that big. Failing actually is pretty important. Like I've gotten very fortunate. I do a lot of podcasts with some Navy SEALs, and they do a lot of training. You talk to them when they train to failure. They want to know when they're going to fail. It's just all part of life. So I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the reasons. Yeah. So I admire you. I admire you. I respect you. I think you're courageous, all those things. Now, here's some bad stuff. One of the things I don't like about you. So I think I'm the strongest man on the planet, and I flip tires all the time. And I go online to your site, and I see you flipping a 400-pound tire up a hill with chains on your back. What is that? Did you intensely say, someday I'm going to be on a podcast with Tom Laidlaw, and I want to make him look bad? Is that what you were thinking? Is that what it is?
Yeah. That was inspired by the founder of Camp My Way, which is an organization that I was just a part of, CEO, lead guide. And we at that share natural tools, camping for those affected by PTSD. So veterans, first responders, at-risk youth. So we take them outdoors, go camping, teach them safe natural tools to move trapped energy, which is really all that PTSD is, essentially. So this tire is kind of this symbol, and these chains are the symbol of the weight that we carry within and overcoming. And it's something that was used by the founder when he ended up going through his own struggles. He found a tire and started flipping it. So it's been this symbol of PTSD awareness for quite a while. And when the pandemic hit, we couldn't do our regular PTSD awareness events. So we decided, well, since we're in this amazing mountain-filled area, remote, well, let's just flip the tire up a couple mountains and camp out and still do the education and share the tools and the knowledge that we have, and bring some awareness while people are locked down. So
and the best part about it, right? And the best part about it too is, didn't you cut the tip off your finger doing it too or something?
Oh, it was the whole finger. They sewed it back on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
so you sent me that picture. I couldn't tell whether it looked like the was hanging off.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a whole video if you'd like to see it. Yeah. We were setting up. It was our first night on the second mountain that we were going up. So the first mountain, we went from 200 meters to I have to do the conversion now. So what's 200? So like 600 feet to 3,000 feet roughly, flipping it. And we were going up an avalanche chute, and then we hit an avalanche. So we couldn't keep going up. So we switched and moved tires to a different mountain and started at 3,000 feet there and went all the way to 7,000 feet.
Flipping the tire uphill. It's a 400-pound tire too.
Yeah. Yeah. With 60 pounds of chain on. and in snow. It was winter. It was still winter up top. Once you're at 3,000 feet, there's snow and avalanches and stuff.
So I thought I was Mr. Tough Guy. When I'm in the gym, I train with chains. I put the chains on the bars, and stuff like that. So I took a picture one time with the chains over my neck, thinking I'm really Mr. Tough Guy. So I think, and again, you make me look bad. How about you doing? Like now I look like a big wuss.
Yeah. It was so amazing. The worst part is the chains on the collarbones.
Yeah.
And the mental side of it is like, you just want, it's so easy that we could just take the chains off.
Yeah.
But to mentally keep the chains on, because we can't just shed all of our internal struggles that easily. We can't just stop them. We can't just simply just sit down and be like, oh, they're gone. Perfect.
Right.
So you have to just kind of bear through it. That's the hardest part. And it's okay if you cry. It's okay if you yell or scream or kick the tire or whatever it may be, because that's a normal, natural reaction. Right. That's our nervous system releasing that energy within, whether it be because of the pain of these chains or the pain within our body or our mind.
Right. You told me a story about your mother before you left the abusive relationship. Your mother came to see you, something had happened, and she came to visit you, and you were at a point where you just unleashed all your anger on her. So tell me about that. Did you understand at the time what was happening? You probably didn't at that time understand what was happening, right?
Yeah, no, I for one, at that time, I never knew anything about PTSD. I'd heard the term PTSD. I probably didn't even know what it stood for.
Yeah.
And all I knew of it was that it was affiliated with like the military.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I started at that point, I had my body was kind of failing me. I was no longer sleeping, just worked super hard at that time, but also just fear and constant thoughts of not knowing how to get through this. And like just breaking down, and I couldn't share emotions with that person, of course. So all of my natural emotions I was just holding within, and I was just blank all the time, essentially. And then my mom came out, who is this person who is safe for me. And we got the van stuck in the snow. I got the van stuck in the snow, and we're digging it out. And I just unleashed every bit of emotion onto her. Which, yeah, at that time, I knew that she didn't do anything wrong. I was the one that got it stuck, and she's just trying to help me dig it out. But I didn't realize that it was because it was kind of this safe person that I could release it onto. And yeah, she just put the shovel down and walked inside. And I remember a few minutes later coming in and looking at her, and I'm like bawling and apologized, but she just looked at me and said, yeah, I'm not the person that you should be getting mad at. You should be getting mad at your partner. And yeah, she packed up her things and left. It was like the worst feeling, that I couldn't ask her to keep staying, because I knew that if she was there, nothing would happen. But I also knew that she needed to leave, and it was just the hardest thing. And for a long time, she wouldn't really speak on the phone. She was there, I could hear her. My dad would do the talking, and I'd always apologize profusely, knowing she could hear me, but she wouldn't say anything. And I'm sure it was because she knew that there was things going on, and she just didn't know how to help.
Right.
Yeah, that was the hardest part. And when I did that cross Canada trip, I told her the only thing that I've ever regretted and that I've ever thought about was that moment, releasing it all on her like that.
Does she understand now?
Oh yeah, she understood that time too. She knew at that time, all of it, which was kind of the most impactful thing, and really made me, I think, subconsciously know that I needed to leave soon. Was that this person who's very much like me, where if somebody says you're doing things wrong, you're the problem, we just accept that that's true. And even though we may know that, no, I did that right, kind of thing, she's very much like me in that context. So for her to acknowledge that she knew that she hadn't done anything and she didn't deserve that, really made me reflect on that, where I was at that time and what was going on.
Sure. And how's your relationship with your mother now?
Oh, my family and we were always super close and supportive of each other. I'm really bad at not being super communicative with the people that are the closest to me, like my family. When I don't have the ability to just be there next to them, I'm bad at kind of pushing them away. And I know that it's because they can read me so well that they know if I'm not in the perfect state of mind, they'll pick up on it. And I don't want them to feel any of that sort of pain. So I then kind of push them aside. Which
you still do that now?
The past couple of years, I've been kind of bad at that, just because I've been dealing with my own stuff, just the camp stuff and that partner and everything, and not being in the perfect headspace. And I didn't want to acknowledge it. I wanted to ignore it and believe that what I'm doing, I need to stay in this because I'm doing good. I see the good in it. It's okay if I'm in some pain, because I know I have my tools and I'll go use them all the time and just move that. But yeah, not being a part of that anymore the past 2 months now has been such a weight off. And I still get to share and help people how I like, of course. And all of the campers, all the first responders and veterans and youth that came through in those 2 years are family now. So I talk to a lot of them every day, make sure they're good and using their tools. And you working out? Flip some tires today.
There you go. Yeah. So this is Barry Shelley. Barry served in the military for 20 years. He and I have become pretty good buddies. So he's just passed along when he thinks about you. So,
thank you.
He also said you had a great smile too.
Oh.
I'll put that out there. See, I think actually you and I maybe be separated at birth or something. We get the dimples going the whole bit.
Right? Yeah, you got a great smile too.
All my fake teeth. It always says, because of a hockey player, I said, they said, do you have your own teeth? I said, yeah, they're my teeth. I had to pay for them. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
I saw a military, I can't remember what it was, it might have been Navy SEAL, whatever. And he was making a presentation on PTSD. And then this was his opinion. He wished that they would remove the D, the disorder part from traumatic stress. Because does that make sense to you that they should do that?
Yeah, which they have. It technically is PTS, and when it comes to military and first responders, it's actually called OSI now, which is operational stress injury. And in British Columbia in 2016, they actually changed the law so that it is acknowledged as a workplace injury, and first responders are supposed to get immediate attention, just like if they broke their leg or anything. It doesn't happen because the system is completely overrun and there's not enough therapists or whatever it is, because it's all about kind of making money when it comes to diagnosing something. If it's not a disorder, then they can't make money off of it, which it isn't. I totally agree. It's a normal, natural reaction. Our nervous system doesn't know the difference between being shot at in Afghanistan or our tooth being pulled when we're 5 years old. Our nervous system doesn't know that. Only we do. Our nervous system is just reacting to fear and pain and that side of things. And we've stopped our natural cycle of moving that energy, which is all that it is in our nervous system, by stopping the shaking, by stopping the crying, because that's seen as weak, especially if you're in a military or that side of things. They used to kill people back in the day. Cowardice to the king, shell shock. You'd be beheaded for shaking in your boots when you're literally doing what we're supposed to do. If you go out into nature and watch a deer get chased by a pack of wolves and they surround it and it drops like it's dead, and it lays there and the pack of wolves go and sniff at it, and they plan to come back to it. They leave it there thinking it's dead. It'll come an hour later, that deer will get up and it'll start moving around and look around. And then it'll get up and it's going to start shaking. And it shakes off all that energy and releases and moves all that trapped energy in its nervous system. And then what does it go do? It goes and just starts eating grass again and going about its life. Its normal, natural cycle. It doesn't look around and be like, holy shit, I'm traumatized now, I can't go on. No, it's going through the natural cycle, and then it's getting on with its life. We've just trained ourselves not to allow that because we view it as weakness.
Yeah. Isn't that true too? Like it's that, I love what you're saying there too, because I've realized this more and more. There's a former player in National Hockey League, is Corey Hirsch. Have you ever heard of him? He actually lives in British Columbia. He does the radio for the Vancouver Canucks. And he had gone through some mental health issues of his own and got help and is, I guess, better now. And he's quite an advocate like you are out talking about mental health issues. And that's one of the biggest things is just having people understand, listen, it doesn't make you weak because you're talking about any mental health issue that you have. And I think it's really important for people like yourself. I try to do a lot of it. We try to do events where we have military personnel, other athletes, talk like people that are supposed to be looked at as very strong people and talk about their mental health issues. And then other people will feel like, well, okay, I guess if Tom can talk about it, then I can talk about it. Jillian can talk about it. I can talk about it. I think that's really important to send that message out there that there's something wrong. You have an issue, you have PTSD, whatever you want to call it properly. But that doesn't mean the person is weak or the person, there's something wrong with them. It just means there's this issue with them. Right. So,
yeah. The big thing is that there's so much you worry, or we worry so much about the judgment of others with it. Yeah. But the more we talk about it, the more the others are going to feel less judged to talk about it.
Yeah, totally.
I remember sitting at a pub, which is the same pub where I met that stranger that helped me leave that relationship. I sat down there and there was a gentleman sitting next to me, and you could tell that he was just super distraught. He was pounding back beers and just giving off this energy, like super sad. And I looked at him like, are you okay? And he looks at me like nobody's ever asked him that in his life. And he's like probably in his late 40s kind of thing, 50s maybe. And he starts to tear up. And I'm like, we can chat. You want to go sit outside? Cause there's like people all around. And he was kind of a regular there. And we go outside and sit on this bench, and he just starts bawling and breaking down and shares what he's going through,
Yeah.
which was horrible things. And nobody had ever asked him. And I went back inside. He leaves. I go back inside and sit down at the bar, and all the regulars come over and they're like, "What are you doing? He's just a cokehead. He was clearly drunk. He's just getting emotional." Like, you guys, if you had just looked at him and asked, "Are you okay?" You have no idea how much you could have changed that person's life. And now every time I run into him in town, he gives me this huge hug, like just so appreciative. He runs a maple syrup thing, so he gives me maple syrup whenever I see him. Like, benefits.
Yeah, that's true. And I know you're kind of halfway joking about the maple syrup, but that is the truth, right? When you help other people, you get so much more in return, right? Like, you make yourself a stronger person. Like, that makes you, every time I think you do that, you make yourself a stronger person by doing that too. I agree 100%. Yeah. Is that true? And you know what? People are going to judge you no matter what. Like, and that's what we do as people. Like, I do. I try not to, but it's when you look at somebody, you pass. It doesn't mean you verbalize it, but you judge them. Okay, what does that person really like? So it's going to happen anyways. You might as well do what you want to do that's right for you. So I agree.
Yeah, I guess so.
So how are you? So with the PTSD, so are you feeling now, like, do you get to a point where some doctor says to you, "Okay, you're healed," or does that happen that way?
No way. No, it's just our normal being. We have to just practice. We have to find the tools that work for each individual person that works for each of us. And we have to implement those tools every single day of our lives. That's whether we think we have mental health issues or not. Those people that, like my friend who stays at my place, I've talked to him so much about PTSD and mental health, and he's very curious about it because he has no idea about it. He's like, "I've never dealt with anything." And then the pandemic hits and he's like, "Holy shit, I think I'm depressed. I think I'm like a borderline alcoholic now." All of these things. And you're like, well, you've never noticed it before because you've always had tools. You've always just gone climbing. You've always gone to the gym. You've always gone and done yoga. And you didn't think they were tools moving that energy, but they were. And now you aren't doing them anymore. So now you're getting all of that energy is just being stored and stored and stored. And you're getting frustrated, angry, depressed, whatever. PTSD. People have PTSD from lockdown now or whatever, because all it is trapped energy. Like,
see, that's amazing. You're making me think now about myself, because so I get up every day at 3:30 in the morning, make the bed perfect, out on the march, going to the gym. When I don't do those things, I feel like there's something wrong with me. It's like I'm missing something in my life. So I'm not moving the energy.
And the most important thing is to do that routine on the good days as well as the bad days. But the good days are even more important because we think that we don't need to do them at that time. And then it's really a push to be like, "Oh, I feel so great though. I just want to lay in bed all day." Like I'm a super early riser too. Get up and I have my morning routine, which I love out here because it involves work and things. And I feel super accomplished by 8 o'clock in the morning when I walk inside. But there's days like today I slept in till 6 o'clock or 5:30, which for me is sleeping in. And I'm like, "Oh, it's so nice and warm. Like, I did great workouts yesterday. I did 2 of them. I can get up and do a workout later." And I got up at 6 o'clock and I go outside and start up the generator, walking the fence. And at 6:30, I'm like, "Fuck.
Yeah, I know.
Why didn't I get up why didn't I get up earlier?"
Isn't that true? Yeah, like, it's amazing how that happens.
But it's so much harder on the good days. But then when you get on a bad day, then you have to have that. You have to know that, okay, it made my good day even better. So but how is it going to make me feel on a shitty day? Well, excuse my language, but probably at least a morsel better. And it's not just one thing. People are like, "Yeah, well, I've journaled. Like, when I'm not feeling good, I journal." Yeah, but there's so many other, that's one tool, but that's not moving our physical need. We need to be out. We need to get fresh air. Go for a 20-minute walk. It's the easiest thing. There's no excuse.
Being out in the fresh air. Oh, being out in the fresh air is so important, I think. Yeah. Oh, man.
It's our natural instinct to go outside, experience new things, explore, change of environments. Like, that's the one thing that nobody's doing nowadays, especially the past 2 years with the whole pandemic side of things. And yet that is our innate human nature, is to have new experiences, discover new things, accomplish goals. And that's just pushed aside. And that's not even taught in school. It's like in school, in high school, in grade 10, you have to know what you want to be for the rest of your life. And that better be all you do for the rest of your life. Hey, well, that's not what we're supposed to do. That's
a great point, but that's fantastic. You think about that. You're the same way. And I am too. Like, I've always tried new things after I got done playing. I was a player agent. I've got this business post-game strategies where we find money for businesses, True Grit Life. It's always been, it seems like it's always been with you too. You always just try new things all the time, right?
Oh, I can't sit still. Like, I know photography is my passion. I know that I'm meant to be doing photography, but with that, I'm out doing all different things. I'll go and summit a mountain for the first time, or I'll go and come out here and do this eco guardianship and learn all these other like solar and generators and motors and all these other things. And I get to incorporate photography in it so I know I'm going to be doing something I'm passionate about. Yeah. Why not bring in some other education and new experiences tied into that? And then I have to go home and I have a painting job and I go and paint. And then on weekends, I'll do nannying or whatever it is, just because we're meant to have different experiences and engage with new people and kids and all, like wildlife.
These guys used to make, I'll tell you a story. My teammates used to make fun of me for this story, but I look back at it now and I go, wow, that's pretty cool. So growing up on the farm, I've told the story so the listeners have seen this or heard this before. The big trucks would come to pick up the milk and take it to the dairy, and that's how we made money. So I always wanted to drive the big trucks, the big brakes, and all that stuff. And the Rangers had a program where they would pay for us to go to school. I think the goal was though that we go to Harvard Business School or something like that. So I was around New York and I picked up the paper one day and they had an article, advertisement in the back saying, I'll never forget this, Superior Truck Driving School. So I called the Rangers up and I said, I'm going to school. And they said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to truck driving school. There's crickets on the other end of the line. They're like, what is this guy doing? So I went for this truck driving school up in Pennsylvania for 3 weeks. And I remember the hotel up there cost me $225 for 3 weeks. That's the price for 3 weeks. It was a dump, but it was a blast. I learned how to drive the truck and never drove a truck after that. I learned how to drive the truck. And at the time, everybody's like, what are you doing? But I look back and now I said, yes, I wanted to learn how to drive the truck. So I'm going to learn how to drive the truck. And I guess that's just, you've got that inside you and everybody can have it. You just got to, have the courage to do it over and over. And then that just becomes part of your life. So, yeah.
For sure. Well, yeah, like we talked about the other day, I feel like I am meant to be a farm girl. Like I love to learn how to do and little things like problem solve and everything. Yeah, I like reading and learning in that context, but to be out and figure things out hands-on like that, I love that. And then I get back into whatever other job or world, and then you look at something, your car breaks down, and okay, well, I think I could probably fix that. And just learn how to do it. And you know what the best part is, that it allows you to have more confidence, which when we're going through mental health issues is huge. And if you're doing expeditions or anything, you have to believe in yourself wholeheartedly that you can get yourself through. And that goes for life too. No matter one of the biggest flaws in the whole system is that we think that a therapist or a doctor is the one that's healing us, but it's actually us that's healing us. Nice. So to go and have all of that knowledge of whether it be fixing an electric fence and I've never done that before, trying to figure that out. And then knowing later on, well, I know a little bit about electricity. Well, maybe if something goes wrong at my house, I can now fix it. And I have that confidence. And now I don't have that mental state of stress of like, what if this goes wrong? Which is one of those things that a lot of our mental health issues is just that churning of like, what if this goes wrong, or this is going wrong in my life? Well, learn how to get through that, learn your tools, learn other things so that you have more confidence.
And it is that confidence to know that even if you don't know it today, that doesn't mean that you won't know it tomorrow, right? I mean, you may know nothing about electricity, but you taught yourself. So the next thing comes along, so okay, well, I'll figure it out. That's that saying yes to life, right? Like saying, yes, I'm going to go out and live on an island by myself for a month and figure things out. I think that's fantastic. I love that. It's just, okay, so what's next? So you got a big expedition planned, or what's going on? I lost you. Oh, you were muted. I think you muted your mic.
You hear me now?
Oh, now we got you. Yep.
Yeah. It accidentally unplugged there.
You having too much fun? Is that what that's?
Yeah. That's a good question. So I'm here till October 15th. And then I'm going to go do some painting work and make some regular money. A big thing that I want to do, since I'm no longer with the camp, I've wanted to go and do more presentations and public speaking. It's a huge passion of mine. And now that things are starting to open up again, I would love to put together a speaking series and go and speak along all the rivers that I paddled in the United States. That's been a big goal of
okay,
mine.
listen, I'm not, you didn't invite me, but I'm coming with you. Okay. So we're
Okay. Sure. Hey, I'd partner up with
okay.
somebody if they want to go do
Good.
speaking
Oh,
engagements.
I love doing that stuff, man.
Yeah, there's always trips and things in my mind. I had a bunch of expeditions planned for a few years ago before the camp, and I didn't get a chance to go and do them. So they're all planned out, and
Okay.
yeah. So there's
Perfect.
like those weigh on my mind a little bit, but then I haven't seen my family in
Oh,
2 years because of the whole
oh,
pandemic, and they're on the other
oh,
side of the country, and we got 5 nieces and nephews.
oh,
But a couple of them I've only met once.
oh.
So I've kind of thought a little bit about going back to Northwestern Ontario for a bit and spending some time out with my grandma and parents and see all the kiddos.
Good.
I'm not really sure. I kind of thought my life was going to be with the camp for quite some time. So
Right.
right now I'm just I'm saying yes to all of these things. This eco guardianship job came up 3 days after leaving Camp My Way, and I
Oh,
immediately said yes and was like, this was meant to be. I had kind of been putting up
oh,
this wall of opportunity that were things that were my passion, just because I wanted so badly to be a part of that organization.
right.
Um, that as soon as that kind of weight and burden was off, all these other things have come up. So yeah,
Good.
I'm saying yes to anything. So if
All right.
anybody's got any expeditions in mind or anything they're watching and and want a person that's pretty outgoing and happy all the time and
There you go.
like obnoxiously positive, I'm your girl.
I get that all the time too, where they say, Tom, you're smiling all the time. What's the problem? Like there's
Yeah.
something wrong with you.
I,
You're smiling all the time.
ever since, if I were to pull out all of my yearbooks since like elementary school through high school through university, every single one of them, someone has written in there, one day I hope to know why you're smiling all the time.
An old teammate of mine pulled out an old picture, and I was in the background, and he's dying laughing because I had this big smirk on my face. He says, "You're up to something, obviously. You always are. There's something going on."
That's what my parents always say. They're like, nah,
Yeah,
you're up to something. And you
yeah,
got that
yeah.
smirk on.
Is it true? And I don't know about you, but I don't do it on purpose. But it just seems like that's constantly the way it is. Yeah, there's always something happening.
Oh, I'm always I can find beauty in anything, like anything fun or whatever.
Yeah.
It was pouring rain this morning, and I look out the window, and there's four humpback whales out there. I'm like, holy shit, there's humpback whales. Run outside, and then I realize there's sea lions playing with them. And I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. And I'm like going crazy running around. And yeah, if anyone were watching me, they'd be like, that person is nuts.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
So, like the gym I go to, the owner of it is a friend of mine. He wants me to promote his gym because he lost a lot of his clients. So, because I'm in there by myself, I've got the music blasting. I'm dancing around and acting like a total goofball. The mirrors are there. I'm staring there, watching myself in the mirror. And one trainer came in the other day and said, Tom, you do realize we have cameras in here, right? So, it's like, they were probably watching me all the time. I was like, oh God.
there's cameras here, so people can
Yeah.
go to, this is called Race Rocks Marine Ecological Reserve, and we have 2
Right.
weather cameras that are live. And
Right.
when you go to the Race Rocks website, you can actually go to the video cameras, and you can actually control them for 2 minutes. So you can move them around, and you can like look around the island, and you can see me out there working, or I'm doing my morning workouts. Maybe that's partially why I'm doing my morning workouts in the dark. I don't know. But yeah, I'll be out there. You'll see me like I'm flapping around, talking to the sea lions and stuff. Like,
you and I were separated. I swear, like we must be brother or sister or something. Because I live in this condominium complex, and there's a bunch of people with dogs here. And I love dogs and everything, but lately it seems like they've been barking all the time. So I was out in my back deck the other day, and I'd had a couple of adult beverages, and I started barking. That's just
awesome. I can show you. I can take you guys live right now. We can step outside, and you can see like 1,000 sea lions, and you can hear them all barking.
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. That's good stuff. All right. Well, I got a feeling we're going to have to do this on a more regular basis. I know there's people saying how great you are and the positive attitude and everything. So we'll do this on a regular basis and have some fun. So great to meet you.
Yeah. Nice to chat with you too.
Yeah, definitely. We will. So maybe like once every week or 2 weeks or whatever, we'll do this show. I think I just found too, and I know you do, that showing people like us that are happy all the time and are trying to look at the positive helps other people, right? Especially during this pandemic, that it's just like, it's dragging on and all the shutdowns and kids at home and all that stuff. So Jillian A. Brown Photography is your, so are you on Facebook and Instagram?
I
Right?
am, but they're both connected. I try to not be on social media as much as possible, so I have it all connected to Instagram.
Okay.
So it's basically like an online portfolio for a photographer, and every
Good.
one of my photos always has a story in writing with it. So there's always context. So yeah, the hardest. I'll put a photo up of me, and there's always writing that explains why there's a photo, like a selfie kind of thing,
Oh, good.
because I'm not one who generally does that, which are the most judged photos of all time by people.
I know. People are always judging. Yeah, it's going to happen. People are going to judge all
Yeah,
the time. Do what you want to do. Enjoy life.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Definitely. All right, my friend. Great to have you on.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. It was
And
great
yep,
chatting with you.
definitely. So we're gonna have to schedule this once a week, I think. At least as far as Barry Shelley is concerned, I think he wants you on every day. I think it is.
Oh
He's,
yeah, Barry,
he's,
you can give me a call. We can chat anytime.
he's a great guy. Yeah, I'll do that
Awesome.
too.
Love it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We are heading back to the golf tournament at Westchester Community or Country Club. Westchester Country. I'm not a country club guy at all, so don't even start. Don't start judging.
Well, have fun.
All right.
I won't
Talk to
judge.
you.
Just don't throw any golf clubs.
No, you know what I do is I think it's really funny. Not everybody else does. I come up behind the golf cart and I undo the strap that holds the clubs onto the cart. So when they pull away, the clubs go flying off. I think it's very funny. But that's
I would probably do that, and I'd probably laugh really hard, and then I'd realize that I have no more friends.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what happens. I think I can't do it just once. I have to do it about 12 times. And after the laugh the first time, but the 12th time, it's like, oh, Tom, enough's enough. So, all right.
That's how you never get invited back, which is probably
exactly.
your tactic.
Yeah. All right. See you later. Talk to you.